Welcome to the Fear Room channel. Enjoy your viewing. You scream. After the 8th grade, my parents sent me in the summer to a children's camp located on the outskirts of a neighboring city. It was a fairly large and well-equipped complex near a lake at some distance from the forest line. Half of the children in the camp were locals who quickly rallied and decided to give the newcomers a fun life. Every night, secretly from the adults, older guys from the city neighborhoods came to our barracks. There were a lot of night vigils and fights. We didn't even get much sleep. It ended with one of our guys having his nose broken. The camp management became concerned and took action only after this. But that's not what this is about. As I already said, the complex stood by the lake, and every evening, under the supervision of the elders, we went to the lake to swim. Somewhere in the second week of our stay in the camp, as always, splashing in the water with the others, I suddenly heard a loud scream from the direction of the forest. Judging by the voice, the man was shouting somewhere a kilometer or two away from us. It was just an incoherent scream, as if the screamer was being cut alive and was in great pain. I froze, looking anxiously at the empty edge, then looked at the elders who were sitting on the shore. To my surprise, neither they nor the children paid any attention to the scream. Meanwhile, the scream continued to be heard and became even louder, echoing. Unable to bear this, I climbed ashore and informed the head of my unit that someone was screaming in the forest. He looked at me in surprise and replied that he didn't hear anything. But there really is someone there. I exclaimed. Don't you hear? The headman asked the children if they heard anything. The children shook their heads. It was strange to see their perplexed and mocking faces, and at the same time continue to hear a terrible, painful human scream pouring into my ears. I covered my ears with my palms, quickly got dressed and ran towards the camp, but the scream could still be heard. It continued for a quarter of an hour, sometimes moving away, then approaching again, and ended as abruptly as it began. I was deathly scared and sat inside the complex all day. After lights out, the night confrontation began again, and I had no time for it. From then until my departure, I did not hear any scream from the direction of the fort. In the mine, this was 3 years ago. I was fond of digging, where I went with friends to all sorts of abandoned objects. After the incident I want to talk about, I gave up on it. We went to some abandoned facility under DS2. We didn't know exactly what was there, either caves or some kind of factory. We approached the entrance and began to descend into the mines. The walls were surprisingly smooth, and then my cell phone began beeping, informing me that the charge was running out, even though I had charged it before the hike. It was strange. We went further and heard a rhythmic knocking in the darkness of the mine. They were pretty scared, but they out loud blamed the other diggers and moved on. They didn't walk for long. They stopped as if they were cute, seeing in the far passage a man walking in some strange position, as if hobbling, dragging something heavy behind him, either a pickaxe or a jackhammer. A lantern was burning on his helmet. We screamed and started running away. Here, in the darkness of the mine, real hell began. From the deserted passages, one could hear the echo of conversations, footsteps, and the strumming of instruments. Silhouettes flashed in the distant passages. We consoled ourselves with the stupid thought that maybe the mines were still operating. As a result, we came across something that made me go to the doctors after that. It was a huge hole, flooded with an unnaturally crimson light from the headlights of motorcycles, and a large Euro parked in it. There were people standing near the cars. Some had no arms, some had a through hole in their chests, some stood in crooked positions. They were dressed differently. Some had military uniforms, some had suits, and some were dressed in some kind of overalls and just scraps of clothing. We couldn't even scream. I got a lump in my throat. Rushing back, we somehow found a way out of the later. I tried to console myself with the fact that apparently these were glitches due to the mixing of low-quality alcohol we drank. We drank a little before the descent and underground gases. But then I found out that in the early 90s, this was a dungeon. Former mines closed even during the Soviet Union due to collapses. The brothers chose them for their dark deeds. Later, special forces carried out a special operation to capture this cozy nest. But the brothers did not surrender without blood. As a result of the grenade explosion, a collapse occurred in places. As a result, many of both sides remained forever in the mines. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will be glad to see you again.